We live in a world of endless noise, endless notifications, endless scrolling. A world where we can fill every second of silence with content. But in the 1600s, a French mathematician named Blaise Pascal wrote one sentence that strikes harder today than ever. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Pascal lived before the internet, before TikTok, before Netflix, before smartphones, and yet he already understood something fundamental about us. We run away from ourselves. We are terrified of silence, because silence forces us to face the truth of our existence. It forces us to ask, what am I? Where am I going? Why am I here? This video is about the man who understood the modern soul 350 years before it existed. A man who built early calculators, invented probability theory, and then turned to the most dangerous subject of all, the human condition. This is the life and thought of Blaise Pascal. Chapter 1. Mini Biography, Who He Was. Blaise Pascal was born in 1623 in Clermont-Ferrand, France. From the beginning, he was not a normal child. By the age of 12, he was discovering geometry on his own. At 16, he wrote a paper so advanced that mathematicians twice his age couldn't believe it came from a teenager. Pascal was not a philosopher sitting in an armchair. He was a hardcore scientist in the era when science was being invented. He studied pressure and vacuum. He helped establish modern probability theory, the foundations of statistics, gambling mathematics, even modern risk analysis. At 19, he built one of the world's first mechanical calculators, a wooden box with gears and wheels, just to help his father with taxes. He was brilliant, intense, obsessed. But then something strange happened. Pascal experienced what he called a night of fire, a mystical explosion of religious experience. This moment would divide his life into two halves. The first, the life of a scientist. The second, the life of a man trying to understand the human soul. He did not abandon mathematics. He simply realized that equations could explain the physical world, but not the inner world. He wrote his thoughts in notes, fragments, reflections. These notes would be compiled after his death into a book called Les Pensées, The Thoughts. And it is in these thoughts that Pascal launches his investigation into who we are and what we really fear. Chapter 2. Human Condition, Between Two Infinities. Pascal says, we don't know what we are. We think we do. We think we're rational. We think we are in control. But he says, look more carefully. When you look at the universe, at the stars, at the galaxies, at the trillions of worlds beyond ours, you feel small, tiny. And when you look inward, at consciousness, at thought, at the capacity to love, to choose, to imagine, you feel enormous. So which one are we? Are we almost nothing? Or are we almost divine? Pascal's answer is both. Man is but a reed, the weakest in nature, but he is a thinking reed. He uses a beautiful image. A reed, a thin plant, a blade of grass can be crushed by a drop of water. That is how fragile we are. But the reed thinks. The reed can look at the universe and understand its own fragility. That, for Pascal, is our greatness. We are suspended between two abysses, the infinitely large and the infinitely small. We're not angels. We're not beasts. We're something in between. This is the beginning of Pascal's psychology. Humans are contradictory creatures. We are powerful enough to know the truth, and weak enough to run away from it. Chapter 3. The Limits of Reason. Pascal was a mathematician. He believed in logic, in proof, in demonstration, and yet he says that reason has borders. It can measure planets, it can predict probability, it can calculate orbits and build machines. But reason cannot answer the deepest questions of the human spirit. Reason can explain how the lungs breathe, but not why life feels sacred. Reason can explain the chemistry of attraction, but not the meaning of love. This is why Pascal writes one of his most famous lines of all time. The heart has its reasons, which reason knows nothing of. The modern mind often gets this quote backwards. It's not anti-rational. It's not emotion over logic. Pascal is pointing out that humans are larger than pure logical systems. There are dimensions of experience that can't be proven like geometry. For example, you cannot mathematically prove that your life matters, but you still live as if it does. You cannot logically prove that someone loves you, but you still trust it. Pascal is saying, the human being is not a machine. You cannot reduce the human condition to equations. Reason is powerful, but it is not infinite, and every time reason reaches the edge of its territory, we cross into the territory of faith, intuition, and meaning. Chapter 4. Distraction. Now we arrive at what might be Pascal's most modern idea. He says, almost everything we do in life is a distraction, but not distraction the way we use the word today. Not just I was bored so I played a game. Pascal means something deeper and darker. He says the purpose of distraction is to avoid thinking about our death. We fill our time with constant movement, with work, sports, gossip, entertainment, because we are terrified of facing the silence inside ourselves. We run heedlessly into the abyss after putting something in front of us to stop us seeing it. That's Pascal. This is the 1600s, 3.5 centuries before smartphones. Imagine if Pascal could see us today, infinite scrolling, infinite feeds, infinite notifications. We have built an entire economy of attention, a machinery whose only function is to keep us stimulated enough to never have to stop. Pascal says if we ever actually sat quietly, truly quietly, we would realize how empty we feel and how fragile we are. Silence is dangerous, because silence forces us to ask the question, what am I really doing with my life? So we run from silence, like animals running from a predator. For Pascal, distraction is not harmless. Distraction is the spiritual anesthesia of the modern world. Chapter 5. The wager, the bet about God. Here is Pascal's most famous idea, often misunderstood. He does not try to prove that God exists. Instead, he asks a simpler question. Given uncertainty, what is the smartest bet to place in life? We don't know for sure if God exists, but we are forced to live as if we do or we don't. Pascal asks us to consider the consequences. If you choose to believe in God, and God actually exists, you gain everything: eternal meaning, eternal joy, ultimate fulfillment. The reward is infinite. If you choose to believe and God does not exist, you lose very little. Maybe some time, some habits, some small pleasures, nothing infinite. If you choose not to believe and God exists, then you have lost the highest good. The loss is infinite. And if you don't believe and God doesn't exist, you gain only small, finite things, a little freedom, some comfort, minor pleasures. Pascal's point is simple. If the possible reward is infinite and the possible loss is infinite, the rational choice is to bet on belief. He isn't proving God logically. He is analyzing risk. He is saying not choosing is already a choice. And if the stakes are eternal, the smartest play is belief. In one sentence, it is smarter to believe and be wrong than to not believe and be wrong. This is the essence of Pascal's wager, a calculation of faith, probability, and human choice. Chapter 6. Why Pascal is still important. So why talk about Pascal today? Because he predicted the modern human crisis, centuries before the modern world existed. He saw that technology would increase distraction. He saw that logic alone cannot ground meaning. He saw that human beings are torn between greatness and fragility. He speaks to the person who feels lost in infinite scrolling. He speaks to the person who is drowning in productivity and still feels empty. He speaks to every rational mind that, at night, in silence, asks itself, "There must be more." Pascal shows us that our biggest enemy is not ignorance. It's avoidance. He doesn't say we should stop thinking. He says, think deeper. He doesn't say abandon reason. He says, reason is not the whole of you. His work reminds us that humans are mystery. Humans are contradiction. Humans are fragile but magnificent. And his voice, from 350 years ago, cuts through the noise of 2025 like a laser. Man transcends man. Maybe this is why Pascal still matters, because he forces us to look at the void inside us, and also the light. He forces us to stop running, even for a moment, and sit quietly in a room alone.